So we're going to try to make Kali a little bit faster by typing power off. Okay, once Kali Linux powers off, you'll get just a black screen and you'll need to go to File menu and Settings. I've already done mine, so I'm not powering it off. So File menu and Settings, and you can add a second processor to your computer just by clicking Processor and clicking the up arrow to give it two processors.
Can I do 3?
No.
It's not letting me do it. Maybe Mike, because I had to start the machine. Hold on.
No, you don't have to start it. It has to be off.
Well, it didn't let me modify it. Now I just started it.
Power it off
What
again.
the hell did I do?
Well, now you have to wait for it to boot. Maybe you went to settings too soon. I don't know. Yep. I think Haley said you had to like close hers out and open it back up or power it off and then. Yeah, Chase, you'll have to cancel out of your settings, then power off, and then go back into settings.
So now go to the file.
Yep. All settings, processor, hit the up arrow, and hit OK. And then start it back.
All right. Appreciate it.
What are you talking about me?
He's going to have these kind of papers in front of you. But I said, we have to ask you first. He said, why is my life? Because maybe he doesn't want to watch me kill you. Maybe he does. I just need to know if I have an audience or not.
You got my audience. I'll say it.
He didn't say anything about you. He said goodness.
Okay, it's important. But you just said something about an audience. There's more of an audience if you have more people saying yes.
I don't care about the citizens. And apparently so do you.
I want a whole semester essentially style. Okay? No, we have the same name server. No.
Oh, really? You have the same last name server or the same name?
Yeah. Well, we did for a whole semester. We shared it.
Dang.
He could have told me to restart. He didn't want to. He's like, I'll adopt you.
Okay, log back into your Kali and open up a command prompt. Terminal. Start recording again, probably. Yep, I am recording.
Does that work?
Yeah. That's command prompt. Command prompt CLI. Command prompt interface. Command line interface. Command prompt's old DOS, but CLI, Linux bash shell. Terminal window. Chase is lagging behind. So Talon's got his terminal window open. Then we type in the letter G as in golf. The letter V as in Victor. And the letter M as in Mike. Dash. Start. And you'll have to do that probably twice again. It likely fails the first time. Because even with two processors, it's not fast enough to start everything up because these are from 2014. Although I did find out that we have a server from 2006. They're wanting to give us a server that's 5 years old. It's be a big upgrade for us. Callie should be a little faster now. Maybe it'll help with your mouse moving around.
It'll be the ultimate test on Monday. We'll use it anytime for the Zoom meeting. That's usually when it gets slow, is when I'm at home trying to load it in.
Yeah, I know it's still laggy.
You run it again, Haley. Hit the up arrow key. Hit the up arrow key and run it again.
Does hitting the up arrow key automatically make it run?
No, just brings up the last command that you typed.
Well,
So you
I did
can-
like 3 times and it instantly just started reloading it with rapidly. I did type that command to make it go.
Go to your shell, you know, it's like you already have a shell open. What have you been typing in your shell? Did you not type it a second time?
I thought I did. Because all that crap, all that stuff up there just started popping up, so I thought I did.
No, it opens a web browser when you do it a second time.
Oh. Well,
Or it should.
I totally knew that.
Yours is acting weird.
See? I played-
Nope, there it is. See, it's gonna open a browser in a little bit.
Mozilla.
Yeah. Okay, so when you log in, I had a couple of scans that have been done. The rest of you probably already got your updates. You could probably play any of the scans that failed or you created if you want to. So I scanned a 1010 1.28 machine and I got a 4.3, which is kind of weird because it should have been 4.9. There's only one of one results. That doesn't seem right. That's completely different from wait, I'm on mine. That's where I accidentally scanned the Kali Linux machine. Okay. Where did I scan my, I don't have a 4.9 anywhere. I'm just gonna delete that. Okay, so that went away. Let me recreate my advanced task wizard because I put the wrong IP address in apparently. And I named this one credentials for 10.10.285. That's not a valid IP address. There's where I messed up. I didn't put the address in the targeted host. And I supplied my credentials. Everybody else hopefully created yours correctly and you actually scanned 10.10.128. So I gave it a name. I gave it an IP address. And I gave it the credentials. Just 3 different options. And then next, I will click the create button. But like I said, most of you probably already created it correctly, I hope. Unless you copied my mistake. That's not cool.
So since I have all errors, I have to redo it, right?
No, you just should be able to hit the play button because your feed update is up to date now. Jeremiah is raising what, Jeremiah?
I don't have a password.
What do you mean you don't have a password?
Yeah, password is kind of like a line on there like it did last time. It says password.
Did you not say the password?
I thought last time I did. Last time I was used it. The last time we did that kind of conversation.
Hello? Did you log into a different user again this time?
Last time, the exact same thing was I was in the student account, but I used the root. I switched the command interface to root.
Well, if you remember, we stored it into that directory, into that file. Wait, yours doesn't look like the feed file's updated for some reason. What's going on with your system? Maybe you didn't. Yeah, your feed file's there. I don't know that your scanners are fully loaded yet. You should have something. Yeah, that should actually get colorful for some reason, and I don't know why yours isn't. Maybe it's just still loading in the background. Okay, so I'm going to create that task, and other people's got tasks created. You should be able to just like click the play button and it should run the task again or start the task for the first time. So this here isn't really to, learn how to use Greenbone Security Assistant and scan. This is just, there's a bunch of tools out there. No, Metasploit has a commercial version of Rapid7 has a commercial version of Metasploit that has similar scanning tools. Then you have Core Impact, you have Nessus, you have other tools out there that are similar to this that run scans. So we're just happening to use one that I know is included in Kali Linux, and just practicing a little bit with it. There's a bunch of third parties out there that does very similar. So we're not trying to be engineers of how to use OpenVAS. We're just looking at some of the steps that a white hat person would be doing to scan his network for vulnerabilities and then try to do mitigation. What does mitigation mean? Wow, that's a lot of quietness. Mitigation is a big keyword in security field. Mitigation means lower the risk, reduce is what it means. Not totally eliminate, but reduce as much as possible is what mitigation means. So while my scan's running, I'm gonna go do an nmap sweep and figure out what all computers are running Linux. So I'm gonna go to a shell while my scan's going on, and I'm gonna do a ping sweep. I think it's just nmap -sn. Followed by an IP address subnet that we want to scan. Followed by the subnet mask or CIDR notation or prefix. whatever you want to call /24. The triple 255.0 is /24. I'm gonna nmap scan, and I believe SN is just a simple network scan. I'll hit enter. It should quickly ping all 256 addresses and respond back with what computers it found. That's showing me more lines on the screen than I want to see. It's not as pretty as I want it. There's 2 extra lines I don't care about seeing. I don't care about the MAC address, and I don't care about the host is up line. All I care about is the name and IP address of the computers available. So I'm going to try this again. Nmap SN. Well, I could just hit my up arrow key and, bring the command up like a normal person would. And I can type grep, I think is capital N. I think it named it nmap with capital N, maybe. Did it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I just moved my scroll wheel and screwed everything up.
Yeah, it worked.
I only wanted to see the line where nmap was on, which had the computer IP address and name and all. Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a whole lot prettier. So just to make the class a little bit faster, we're scanning this system over here. I've got a 1.28 machine here. I can click on the report link and bring up the report while it's still running. It's already found 3 medium and 3 low. I can click the report dates, and as it continues to scan, it'll continuously build up this report. I've got 6 results now. So that was just on the scanner. I clicked the little number 1 where it said that that was scanning stuff. Let's look at Taylon. So, and you've already jumped into, oh, you've got 10 results. I have 10 results. Interesting. Are you scanning the 1.28 machine?
Look, right there.
Hmm.
And that one.
So as I'm looking in here, I've got it's 94%. It's still building up. I didn't mean to click that. I got all the way up to 9.9. I meant 4.9, 4.9, 4.7, 4.3. We got some other low-level stuff down here. So as it's continuing to scan, do you see these little icons that says vendor fix? They look like a box with a down arrow on them.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
I had to run to the restroom. What'd I miss?
I don't know.
Well, I don't have all that is what I'm saying. I don't know where that is.
See where you're at.
I did all the I went to the restroom real quick.
Yeah, we just clicked on like the number 2 right there in the middle. And then, actually, I'll go back. You clicked on the immediate scan one. You didn't click on the middle one, you clicked the bottom one. The middle 2. Yeah, that one. And then we clicked on the date or the beside the left of the green bar, the 98% there. Click October date. And then you're on their information tab. Just click one tab over it under the results tab. And that's where we're at.
Gotcha. I was just starting to come up with some more.
I only have 2. Actually,
There could be an issue in the just the sheer number of people that are scanning at any one point in time with the exact same system, that it's causing timeouts and it's not catching everything. That could definitely be it. OpenVAS is designed to be the only scanner on the network, but how many do we have going? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's probably maybe some of the issues.
I still don't have. Well, I can get off. Want me to?
No, that's okay.
Taking that extra. I'm hit reload probably about.
I don't know. We'll feed update your system, see. Shouldn't take too awful long. Okay, well, if you see mine, I got several vulnerabilities there against that machine. So what I would do, I'm noticing some of these icons here. Some of these here are vendor fixes, means there's a patch that you can download from the vendor that's going to fix it. And then you got mitigations. That means that's something manual that you'll have to go in and manually configure to fix. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pick another Linux box identical to the one we're scanning. So I'm looking here at this list, this 10.10.1.30 machine. I know it's another CentOS server. So I'm going to pick on it. And what that I would do after I found those vulnerabilities with my scanner, I would start hardening the system, especially the ones that says there's vendor fixes for them. That means that's a pretty simple fix. I just need to run an update on the system. So I can SSH from the command line. You can, just like you do from a Cisco router to Cisco router, but I think everybody just uses PuTTY. I don't know, have you ever SSH from one router to the next? It's SSH-L for login name, followed by some login name. Like, y'all don't have to do this, but you could practice SSHing into a system if you want. So I'm just doing the 10.10.1.30 machine, and I'm going to log into it. As I hit enter, it asks me, hey, you never logged into here before. Do you trust this computer? Yes, I trust the computer. And hopefully this person used pass1234 for his machine. He did. So steps after this point, y'all can't do because we're all logged. If you followed me, you all logged into the same machine. You can just exit out, just practicing the login command. And you can do that on Cisco routers.
I tried to do this on the Goodman, one that I found. It didn't work.
It should have worked. What failed?
I don't know, I typed in the password,
You're logged in.
Am I?
Look at the prompt.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh my god. I thought I saw the last failed login, and I thought my bad. I'm not.
Because you failed login.
And the Goodman, I think, is already up to date. But so the mitigation that I would do on this machine, so I have 4 vendor fixes. I can kind of see them through my terminal because it's transparent. Little box in the down arrow. I would have to figure out, what's the update commands for CentOS? Do you remember? Just yum upgrade. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. Don't type that in because, well, I'm the only one that needs to type it in on Lucas. And it says there's 741 things need to patch, 36 new packages installed. You want to do it? Yes, that's going to take a pretty good long time to do. Because we have our internet. Look how slow our internet is. Got to download a gig worth of stuff.
I thought we had over like 300 megabytes per second.
Look at that. We're only running like 8 and 11 and 12 megabytes a second. Look how slow that is. That's about as fast as you can go on a gig card. So of course I'm joking on that part. So that's core hardening of a system, installing vendor level patches. But as the patches are installing, I'll also note that there's some links down here that have a mitigation part. I may not really care about this one that's low. It's probably so inconsequential that I don't need to mess with it. But this one right here, it's medium. And it says I need to mitigate. And that may need to do some research on it. So if I click on it and do some reading, it found these cipher types. And it says they're too weak. Insights. They tell me about what would be weak keys. And this last sentence here, anything that deploys CBC mode may allow an attacker to recover plain text from a block of cipher text. And they've got some more details right here that I can click on. And they got some other references that might explain even more about what's going on with it. Well, that just says the exact same thing we just read. Let's follow an external link. What about this KB article? Does it tell me anything more? Maybe, yeah, that's a little bit more descriptive. So just reading cipher blockchaining. They found a weakness in it. The successful probability of the attack for other implementations is not known. So I'm not finding a good fix just by searching on those. So what I'm going to resort to is I'll search. This is just kind of like, where would I go from here? I go to Google at this point, since the links didn't really tell me anything. This is for my version of the running CentOS 8 on those machines. So I might type in something like CentOS 8 SSHD CBC mode disable or something like that, and see if I get anybody talking about this, because you'd think if a scanner detected that that's a vulnerability, at least a medium level vulnerability, that there'd be people talking on discussion boards and stuff on how to simply disable the CBC mode. So as I hit enter, disable, remove CBC mode ciphers. That's for CentOS 7. Here's something now. Here's one for CentOS 8. And something about CBC server fault loss. I'm going to open up that in a new tab, because that matches my version that I'm running. And this looks like a forum. Somebody talks about he's trying to get rid of CBC because he scanned his computer. Tried to update the crypto policy to future instead of default. Rebooted, however, Nessus, which is the commercial version of OpenVAS, still throws out and says, hey, CBC is being used. So how do you fix it? I come down here. And there's marked as somebody replied with the answer. So edit this file, put in that text, and reboot. Well, that's straightforward. And that's how that you basically go through, remediate stuff. I mean, that can take quite a while, running through everything, reading blog posts and stuff, and figuring out what your company determines is a security flaw. You know, maybe 4.3 is not high enough for your company to say, well, don't worry about those yet. There's not just a simple vendor fix, just don't worry about them. They may want you to fix things that are like level 7 and higher and spend your time on that. But we don't have any policy set, so we're just going to try to fix stuff as best we can, right?
Of course.
Until it breaks. I had that big problem. Try to fix it until it breaks.
What we do, freedom to the galaxy.
Look over here. It's asking me a yes or no question. Do I want to install all of that crap? Sure. And I think at this point, it's going to install, and it's going to take a while to install everything. While that's going, and we're waiting on that to finish so I can run that other remediation. Check Kali for what SSHD ciphers it supports. See if you can figure that out.
Hold on, I'm watching Star Wars right now. Check out my screen.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that before. Okay, so break time's about over, and your goal was check Kali for what SSHD ciphers it supports. So what I would do, I would go into Google and type in check SSHD cipher support, and Google that. How can I find a list of MAC ciphers, blah, blah, blah. And start reading some stuff. You can run an nmap command. SSH-Q cipher. I'm going to try the SSH-Q cipher on my Kali Linux. See what it does. It shows CVC on there. However, when we run, oh no, that's against the other system. So it does look like Kali's got them supported. There's also SSH-Q. That's telling about the client. SSH by itself, the client. We're wanting to know about what the server supports. Client's probably going to support everything for backward compatibility to connect to everything. What was my exact question? Check Kali for what SSHD ciphers it supports, not what the client supports. So Talon did find a really cool one. This reading here was about just the client, not the SSHD per se. So I'm going to go back to.
Does that mean I get a gummy bear? No.
Now I'm going to go back and look at some other. Why did the page jump on me? How can I like MAC ciphers and key algorithms supported by SSH? Here somebody says you can type this command in and it will tell you what the server supports. So I'm going to dump that to my screen. And I get an error, missing privilege separation directory. So if I Google that error message, and I try to figure out what does that error message mean.
I don't think I got an error message on mine. Is it
Somebody
basically-
posted a
does it
whole
basically look like a paragraph?
lot of stuff. Well, here's some answers. Somebody says this command works. Make directory pvar run sshd. I'm going to try that. Click enter.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Run the command again. So that worked.
I didn't get that missing privilege separation directory when I ran the command you just ran that you had to go back and look at.
Mhm.
I didn't get that. It
It ran.
ran.
Okay. Yeah, it will. That directory exists if you have SSH up and running, and I started SSHD on your computer. By default, Kali's pretty darn secure because the SSH server is not running. So that's about as secure as you can get. It doesn't matter if it supports CBC or not. It's not running, so you can't connect to it. So it wouldn't matter because you couldn't decrypt something that you can't connect to. But I ran the command and it threw out all the different cipher groups and stuff. The one thing though, is we looked through all of these cipher junk. There's the CRTs. What that I don't see CBC because they named the cipher GCM instead of CBC, so you can't. Mr. Talon actually found a much better tool to show what was supported, because if you're looking through here and you're trying to find CBC, it's not there because it's called something different in the configuration file. It's called GCM. So Talon found a really cool, well, where did it go? Well, I'd say he found a really cool command where he typed in git clone and pulled a Python script down.
I have it pulled up right here.
And then he was able to run this Python script. So if I put all these commands in the notepad for you, I mean, it's not something that you probably need to have memorized or anything, but if you wanted to test any of you got servers at home and stuff, Sean's probably like, yes, I need this, I need this. The Germans are going to hack me again someday. And we changed directory into the scan folder. For the rest of Sean's career, I'm going to be talking about Germans attacking. And then followed by whatever IP. So those were all the commands that Talon had. Git clone, changing the directory on Python, the name of the Python script -t and an IP address, and it would scan. As long as that server's running SSH. The problem is Kali by default doesn't run SSH. So system control start SSH SSHD, no, I did, spelled it wrong. System control start SSH. Yeah, that command. Then you run your Python script against localhost, and it would tell you. My Kali's good though. I think, yeah, my Kali's good. Kali's not. Kali doesn't look for CBC. It's only doing CTR. So all of that right there allows you to scan local or remote SSH and show you all the ciphers and stuff it supports. It doesn't, well, it even told if you had weak ciphers. My Kali says no weak ciphers detected. The computer that I am hardening, the 1.30 machine that I SSH'd into, it detected the weak ciphers, the same weak ciphers that this Greenbone security assistant found. And remember, I searched how to disable CBC mode, and I found that I was supposed to put that that command in to etc sysconfig sshd. So my mitigation task is to edit that file. I've got to find where it's at. Was this the one I was updating? Yeah, there's my 10.10.1.30. 10.10.1.30 computer. So this is the one that I've run the security patch on. And this is the one where it said that I needed to go into the etc sysconfig, and I needed to edit a file called sshd. Inside that file, I see the very last line in this file has a crypto policy, which is exactly the line they said I needed to fix. I'm just not going to change that line. I'm going to make another line right below it, and I'm going to paste that crypto policy that I copied from the website. That's a long freaking line. So I'm going to paste that in there, and the dude said that that fixed it. If you're actually wanting to do security, you probably would want to sit down and read up and make sure that every one of those was legit cool stuff that he told you to put in there. Maybe they told you to put something in there that was bad. It's going to lower your security. We're going to trust them just out of goodwill. I'm going to save that file, and I'm going to do some things before I test it out. So before I reboot the computer, I'm going to do a couple more hardening tasks. So I've updated the SSH, and I can either restart the service or restart the whole computer. I've run not Windows Update. I run Yum Update on the system. I'm going to do a Yum auto remove, and I'm going to remove all old software because we ran a patch. Yep, going to remove all that stuff. We've done that on Kali. I think we did that on Kali. Didn't we do APT auto remove? App auto remove, I think we did. After we did an update.
Yeah,
Same. You notice it's the same thing on CentOS. They just use Yum instead of APT. And there's one less step. I had to do Yum or APT update and then APT upgrade. On CentOS, I just had to do Yum upgrade, and it did both steps for me. So they're almost identical. I was going to do one more thing too. Let's look at all the things installed on system. Red Hat Package Manager, query everything, and I was going to look at the kernel. I had to spell it right. Wait, what am I doing? Command that found kernel grep. I have to figure out what I'm doing, where I'm at. So what I'm looking at, a lot of Linux commands. I don't know if you remember the uname-a command from operating systems. It tells me I'm running the 4.18-80 kernel. And there's the 4.18-80 kernel, but also note that I installed a new version of the kernel, 4.18-193. It's like 110 updates have been done since the last time I updated the system. So I probably want to remove the old kernel off the system. The problem is I haven't rebooted and I'm not running the new kernel. So how do I remove the old kernel? I wonder if I can do that. It wouldn't be safe. You normally want an old kernel to be kept on your system until that such point in time that you run about a month or so and determine that all of your software is running fine and you no longer need to revert back to the old version, and then you can remove it. If you just did an update, you would not want to remove them. But I'm going to see if I can remove these files while my kernel is still running. Is that even, that's probably not smart. So this is not smart to do. I don't want to remove this particular version. Let me see if I grab that one, if it'll remove a lot of stuff. Try to remove the modules. And it also says you need to remove the kernel. Sure, will it do it? It miraculously did remove it while it's still running that version. That's smart stuff to do. I'm gonna check out some other stuff. What else can I remove? Anything with the -80 on it. Anything with the -80. I want to get rid of that. Uh-oh, left the K out. That's got the 80 on it. It hit enter automatically. So I have to remove all these. I'm going to restart, and it may never come back to life. But we're going to hope it does. Anything with 80 left? I do. That pesky one right there is left. Okay, I'm just gonna reboot because it says it's protected, probably because I'm running -80 right now. No, I'll leave it open. Sounds like they're done. So I'm gonna let that system reboot. And we'll what we'll do when it comes back up, we'll rescan it. So originally scanned .28, and we had a 4.9, and I just fixed the 10.10.1.30. I installed all the Windows patch, or not Windows, installed Linux patches, and that SSH remediation, I went in and I copied that cipher suite and pasted it in the SSHD config file, restarted the system. Now I want to rescan it to see, do I still get a 4.9? Do I get a higher number or do I get a lower number? And we're hoping after we've done operating system hardening that the number goes down. Although there is a possibility that one of the patches that were installed introduced a new vulnerability that the scanner knows about, and it introduces a higher vulnerability one. I mean, that's possible. But typically, if you install the very latest patches on a system, the severity level right here of your scan should go down. Now I can't rescan 128 because, well, I just did that one. I didn't patch that one. I patched 30, which was a similar system. So I'm going to need to create a new scan and scan to .30 when it comes back to life. It looks like it's back to life. And it looks like it's running the 418 0.193 kernel. Where's my Python? Where's my Python? There's my Python. Let's see. So if I run this Python scan against the 1.30, it said CBC was enabled before. Now if I run against it, do I see CBC anywhere? Are there any weak ciphers? It says no weak ciphers were detected. So that was Mr. Talon's scan. Really cool scan you found there. But everybody else, let's start a scan, a new scan for 10.10 1.30. So click scans and click your wand to create a new advanced task wizard scan. Yes, Jeremiah.
I still don't have keys.
Oh well, do it anyway. Click scans and click your wand and go to advanced task wizard. And on the advanced task wizard, let's name this one Linux 30 patched. That way we'll know that this one's the patched version. The target host 10.10.1.30, and we'll provide the credentials, the Linux root credentials to it. And go and create that scan, let it scan. And we're hoping for a lower than a 9.4. Is it going to work? What do you think? Anybody want to take bets? I'm going to bet that we still get a 9.4. I'm going to bet the scanner screws up and messes up and doesn't scan right. Who wants to bet against me? So I see Matthew's already went to 1%. When it goes to 1%, it puts a number under the reports column and it makes it a link that you can click. So right here beside my little 1% bar, but it has to get at least to that point. And as soon as it gets to that point, I can click the link. And it will bring me to the reports page. And it's still showing 1% scanning. But I can watch the reports come in as it scans just by clicking on the date link. And then I can click on results. And of course, at this point in time, the scan, it's so early, there's been no vulnerabilities found, so there's no reports. But this web page refreshes every few seconds. So when a report will be found, it'll automatically refresh and put anything on the screen that it finds. So Matthews is scanning and his is going faster than the rest of all of us. He's at 8% now, and he brought up TCP timestamps. That's pretty cool. But that's the low severity, so we haven't hit anything higher. It would be nice if it scanned through and that it stayed at the low level. That's really the output that we would expect after installing all the vendor fixes and doing the mitigation on that 4.3 severity level for the cipher suites. Now, but you got to be careful that cipher suite thing. If you've got maybe an older version of PuTTY that somebody's using remotely and it doesn't support the new like CTR or whatever the new stuff was, and it only supported the CBT protocol, and you try to mitigate it, you may not let somebody remotely come in. But that may be a good thing too. You might be able to tell them, go, hey, you need to update your PuTTY connection. Okay, so mine's popped in. So I've got TCP timestamps going. Brian's finished for some reason with not available. I don't know what happened with his. I'm going to look for yours, Brian. Hold on. I'm going to take control. Stop moving your mouse. What in the mess happened with that? Well, don't think I've ever seen not available. That's interesting. There's no errors. It's just not available. That's new. That is new. I don't know. 1010. Oh, you scanned the wrong computer. 10.10.10.30 is not available. It's 10.10.1.30. Well, let me get off your system. You can delete that and recreate a new one. Now it all makes sense. The 10.10.10.30 is not an available computer. There's nothing there. Yep, it's perfectly secure. Nobody can get to it. It doesn't exist. Good thing. Don't have to worry about security. Your job is done on that part. Yours is up 34%. So my 10 o'clock class, we had some inconsistencies. I think the first person that got the scanner kicked off, theirs showed 2.6% or 2.6 low. Everybody else, it detected a couple of Intel kernel vulnerabilities that weren't mitigated yet. We went and manually checked to verify, and the mitigation was in fact in place on the CentOS system, but the scanner was for some reason having a false positive. So 58%. I don't remember at what percentage that we started getting bogus false positives on a few things, but that was, I guess that was good that you can, these scanners are not foolproof. You have false negatives, you have false positive on them. False negatives means they didn't detect this vulnerability that's actually there. False positives means like, hey, this is a vulnerability, but you've already got it fixed, and it's really not a vulnerability. Like I said, one person, they're scanned correctly, and OpenVAS reported the correct information. Everybody else has reported 2 extra vulnerabilities that are not on the system anymore. Sean probably did it. I'm sure he hacked in and messed up my 10 o'clock class while they were working. So Matthews has popped up a 4.9 and 4.7. The other two, there's like another 1 or 2. Well, there's the SSH thing hasn't popped in there yet. And then there was another couple low ones that were on the first scan. That's not going to show up in here, but I don't know why this 4.9 and 4.7 are in there. Here's about 74%. When it pops up on mine, let me log into that server. Okay, so it's this server right here. The scanner is not detecting a couple of files. I don't know if I remember. I'll have to let it pop up on my screen. So it's not on my screen. Or Matthew, you can click on missing kernel mitigation for ITLB, and you can scroll down. Okay, right there. It says it did not detect sys devices, system, CPU vulnerabilities, and a file called ITLB multi-hit. SSH is supposed to respond with that. I wonder if it's because our mitigation we put in, maybe SSH isn't responding. I don't know. Well, let me, so on the CentOS machine, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. It says that the sys folder, devices folder, system folder, CPU folder, vulnerabilities folder. It's supposed to have a file in there called ITLB multi-hit to verify that the kernel knows about the Intel vulnerability. And that file is supposed to contain kvm:vulnerable inside the file. It does. I went in and manually looked and seen that exist. So I know this kernel is protected from that vulnerability. But for some reason, the Greenbone security system is not detecting it. It may have something to do with the mitigation we did for SSH and disabling the CBC protocol. That person's string may have added some extra stuff in there to limit your ability to see this far deep into the operating system or something. There's another one in there that talks about the second one, that's the 4.3. It should be the MDS. If you go look at it, it'll be the same thing. It's on my screen now. This one right here, the MDS one. If you read on it, it tells you the same location, sys devices, system, CPU vulnerabilities. If there's a file called MDS, and there is a file called MDS, and if it contains the words vulnerable, clear CPU buffers, attempt, no microcode, SMTP, host state unknown, if it contains that, then you're protected. The kernel knows about that exploit and it's actively protecting you. So those are in there. Let me look at the system that we didn't fix. SSH, we didn't fix the 10.10.1.28 machine. We did not fix that one. So a system that's not fixed. Devices, system, CPU, vulnerabilities. If I look into that one, I don't see the MDS file in here. It's nowhere in there. MDS is missing. Also missing is the
There's a really cool command that's pretty that you should try out.
ITLB multi-hit. So that IT multi-hit right there, this MDS, both of so it looks like several more too are missing out of there, but those two are guaranteed missing. So this 1.28 machine I did not install vendor patches on, and it is vulnerable.
You should check out this command right here. It's pretty cool. Curl space WTTR.in. Check the weather.
Cool. That's kind of cool. So I have false positives. That I think is a good learning tool. Also, the tool's not working quite the way it should. I'm at 98%, and I don't see my other vulnerabilities in there. But this should let you know that security scanning tools are not 100%. You can actually go look at reports and see what the percentage of false positive and false negatives are and compare multiple vendor scanning tools and try to figure out which one is going to be best for your organization. I wonder if I took off that SSH the manual SSH cipher codes and rescanned it.
have those missing Linux reports. I just have the SSH weak encryption algorithm supported and TCP timestamps.
Looks like yours was a quick scan, maybe. Yeah, we're scanning to 31, and that looks like a quick scan instead of an advanced scan. And all my Zoomers are running away. I guess it is the end. It's 9 minutes to end the class, 8 minutes to end the class. But yeah, we're pretty much done. See y'all on Monday.